it's just very slow, but I hope the audience is okay. Oh, we're live. Hi, Manmeet. Welcome to Venture with Grace.
Thank you, Grace. Thanks for having me on. And it was a pleasure to meet you during last couple months.
Yeah, for sure. It was so good to meet you over the HubSpot event and the Giants game
Yeah.
through my good friend Mahir, who were working for you back then. Um, I want to start off as like maybe we could talk about like I know that you migrated from or you immigrated from India, and like maybe we could talk about your entrepreneurial journey, because like before you are working on your current company, you were working on your fund, and then before your fund you have sold a company for over 100 million. Maybe we could talk about the journey of entrepreneurship for you. What
Well,
were some core lessons that you learned early on that kind of like shape you into who you are today?
yeah, that's a long worded question and long worded answer I have to give you on this one. But yeah, I came in as an immigrant, started working for Oracle. Once I got my green card, I entered into my entrepreneur journey. My journey has always been about building technology companies that solve hard, often overlooked problems. That's how I started in my first company. I started as a co-founder of a company called Dataguise. Um, which focused on data privacy and protection before it was trendy. When we wrote the algorithm very early on format preserving masking, when people used to ask, what is masking? So that was something which was very surprised, and people used to ask. And ultimately, that company grew to a good size and was taken over by PKWARE. After that exit, I launched a fund. I did actually a nonprofit for a little while. A nonprofit is called 5-6 Seva. And I still run that nonprofit. And actually, that serves about 250 to 500 meals on a daily basis in our Bay Area region from Oakland to San Jose. And it's still going on. It's called 5-6 Seva. And I'm on there. Then, but a year after that, I started the venture fund called PGV.VC. I invested and mentored several early stage co-founders and founders of the companies. That difference gave me a big lens. I'm glad to make like that helped me how to scale startup, where the startups are gonna stall. I learned a lot. There were about 18 investments which we made as a group. We were four of us who got together. Some of them were investors in my past company, Dataguise. So the fund was 25 million in that range, and we pretty much invested. I got rid of all the fund. I invested pretty much all the fund and understood how the teams, products, and the cultures inside the company, which I had built in Dataguise, and I tried to build same startup entrepreneurial culture in the other companies also. And once the fund was over, I was associated with another fund called Trajectory Alpha. I was on their bench, and that's what led me to WMC Global. It's a cybersecurity threat intelligence company that protects major brands from phishing, fraud, impersonation attacks, the kind of problem that quietly people lose billions of dollars. It hurts the economy a lot. Banks lose money because some grandma somewhere is being butchered by these people and the money is stolen from our bank. And that's where we come in. And this company has been around for about 18 years, but we acquired the company, reincorporated the company, and now I'm running it as a startup. I'm productizing the whole approach. We are kind of profitable right now, but I want to scale this company to the next level. We already have a good revenue, and I want to double, triple that revenue. And that has been my journey, and rebuilding the culture, bringing the top leadership, bringing new engineering structure, bringing the product, and bringing it out in the market.
I wonder, maybe we could start with, can first of all, can everybody hear us, or like is there like some sort of like delay? Because on my end, I don't know, like today my Wi-Fi is so bad, so I can only hear part of the conversation. Can everybody else hear it if you are currently tuning in? I'm pretty sure, I mean, I can already see people on my end, so like nobody complain anything. I assume it's just me. Okay, so I want to start with the fun, right? So like I was listening to your talk with someone else on the NFT end back then, and I wonder, like, so when you're investing in these companies from like an entrepreneur lens, what are some stuff that you're very actively looking at these days? Because I know that like investing become like, it's kind of like, you know not like you're primarily focusing on your company now. Maybe we could talk about what were some lessons that you learned that after you invested in many companies during the 3 years that you were working on the fund.
So what the lesson which I learned early on, I started investing. It was like investment is also what's the flavor of the year or the flavor of the month. When I started investing, blockchain and crypto was a big thing. Then the AI came into the picture. So our fund focused some on blockchain, but mostly on AI based companies. But what I learned from the investing angle, which is not the reason why I left investment, was because I wanted to get back into the trenches and do the operations myself. That is what I learned that I missed. But I could not write a check and be on the board and prescribe people to do what they wanted to do. But what I learned is that founder or co-founders are the main difference. There are dime a dozen ideas in the market. You can take any idea, but an idea to an execution is basically what a founder and co-founder do. And you have to look at the idea, you have to look at the market size, you have to look at the market. Definitely, you have to look at all those ingredients. But ultimately, more than 70 to 80% weightage is given to the founder and the co-founder. And that's what I saw, and that's what I did. And some of these companies which I invested in, like Apollo.ai and a couple other ones like Polygraph, they have been funded. They have already grown about 8 to 10 times on the investment we made. So they have done pretty well. So that was a good learning experience for me. And when I took WMC, I know what we have to do and how we need to scale. And that's where I'm trying to take the company now.
For sure. Maybe we could talk about WMC. So, like, you went back to the building era. So it is an AI powered cybersecurity company. Why don't we talk about like, what were some problems that you're seeing in the market, and then how do you kind of started the company?
So the problem in the market is pretty prevalent. Like all these big companies, these Palo Alto Network, CrowdStrike, everybody's solving this problem one way. But there are certain niches in there. There is a AI-based solutions which people are not doing, going deep and understanding what's happening, trying to take down the URLs, trying to break the phone numbers, having relationship with the carriers. Not all the companies have. This company has been around more than 18 years. They have that relationship, but the only problem was they were running it as a little service-oriented company. And when I come in, I basically am changing it into the product-based approach. I'm collecting all the data because data today is the new oil. Everybody knows it's important. I can run better AI if I have the data. The collection of data we have at WMC is huge. I can't even believe the amount of data we have on the intel, on the security and the engagements, and we are going to bring it back in, understand, use the AI models which are existing, or create some of our own models. I brought in my old team from Dataguise. A lot of them are pretty smart PhDs who were helping me build my Dataguise, who did the format preserving masking for me. Those are the people who I brought in. So they are seeing it from a different lens. And our aim is to protect the consumer for the banks, for the financial companies, even for everybody else, because consumer is the one who loses the money. Yeah, sometimes the banks compensate it, but ultimately it's the business which loses money. Yes, people have to go through the hardship because they lose, but it could take them a month, sometime a week, just to get back their money because the butchering has happened, or somebody has stolen their money, or somebody targeted those old little grandma somewhere sitting in there, or a new immigrant and his bank has been completely wiped out. So that's where we come into the picture. We try to get that intelligence before anybody does, pass it on to the banks who are our customers. And we have like more than 25 customers today. And a lot of large banks are my customer. A lot of cellular companies are my customers. So I am solving the problem for them.
I wonder, so like maybe we could start with like, when you mentioned like there's a lot of PhD join you, like when you were recruiting for your own company. So like first of all, like when you were chatting with these like bigger companies, like how do you think about the customer buying strategy? So like who do you talk to? Like, so for example, is that like the CIOs, or would it be like the chief security officer? I guess like who do you start talking to, and how do you like what does the sales journey kind of look like for something like this? For something
So
like security?
after my joining, we closed a couple deals. The sales journey, what I have seen is mostly all these credit unions, banks, and larger financial operation or the retail operations have something called a fraud department, or have something called under CISO or a separate department of the fraud. And we have to somehow reach to them people. And we have to show our value to those guys. And we have to explain how we can help them. See, people are only going to use you if you're going to help them and if you're going to solve the problem. If you're going to basically just telling them what you are doing won't solve it. You have to show them how you have solved it for other customers and how you are building. So what we had was a services based approach, and now we are showing them the path to the next 1 year where we are doing our AI based approach, our more better UI, better product based approach. It's going to be a product led growth now, because you cannot scale with number of people. You have to scale with the product. The data is another important. We try to get the data from the other people, outside sources, banks, or our relationship with the cellular companies, which we can tell which is the spoofing has happened, or threat hunting is more important. We go out and see who's trying to get into the market or who's trying to do this kind of threat. So we do the threat hunting. We know the intel before people know. So that's what we are building, and that's what we are trying to productize. And this is the solution. This is the problem, which actually a good AI model can solve much better than a human. And that, like, I was looking for this in last like 18 companies I invested. What is the right place where AI can be used and enterprise will accept it? Because everybody talks about AI today, but how many enterprises are using it? With our product-led approach, where we give the data to them, they are not buying or using the AI. We are using the AI, but giving them the data, which is important to them. So enterprise are ultimately going to use AI using my product.
I wonder, so like when it comes to like, I guess like when you are tapping into these like when you're built on some of your own team, you mentioned that there's like a lot of PhD that you have hired. But I feel like anyone who's like amazing academic, they spend a lot less time in like go to market and actually packaging it into like a good product. So like as a CEO, how do you kind of manage these like really high talented people, but also like make sure that the stuff that can actually function and sell to like the
See,
real life audience basically?
yeah, see, that has been my experience, putting the right places, people in the right places. That's what I have been doing for last 25 years. And then giving them full autonomy to run, basically giving them the direction. This is what we are building, and telling them this is what we need to do. This is how we need, and get them on the customer call. See, the best solution you cannot build in a vacuum. You have to build for a customer with the customer. And that's the biggest mantra which I have been doing. I try to get the customers to give us input on a regular basis. My engineering team from past has known me. The leadership has known me. They have worked with me for 10, 15, 14 years, 12 years, some of them. So those people know what I need from them. And when I put them in the in front of the customers, these are asking the right question, and they go back and build what a customer needs. Once we solve that problem, what a customer needs, this talent is pretty, they have very good acumen and they know what they are doing. But the direction and still telling, and the newer market, we cannot just stick to the same market. We have to go to the adjacent market. We have to keep growing on the new markets. And for that, we would probably be raising money over time also, because as you grow organically, you can only have solved the problem sequentially for one thing at a time. But I want to do it for many people. I want to have what they call today is like multi-agentic AI. I have many agents. For that, I need money. So that's where I will be raising over time once I have the first part of it solved, which is going to be my first product launch is going to be January. I just started in August. And today, with all those AI models and all that, the programming has become much easier. What I used to do 10 years back with about 20 people or 25 people, I can do that with 3 to 4 people now, with Claude and with all the other people who are in the market doing the programming for me. And my people can do fast, quick programming, testing, automation of QA. All that has changed in last like 3 to 5 years.
I wonder, so like when you're hiring the people that you're hiring now, like so what kind of quality do you look for? So are they just like primarily really good at researching a particular aspect, or do you feel like it's more of like a well-rounded product building ability?
See, I really, I would rather see. We have a higher senior team is already there. Now I look for people with 3 to 5 year experience who have entered this world in the AI era of programming, who understand how today's programming is happening. So I'm looking for that kind of people who can help me, who can develop fast, who can use all kind of tools available in the market, and actually lead my senior team to using the newer products and tell them what is available in the market. So those are the kind of people I'm bringing in now, because 3 to 5 year experienced people don't have the baggage of last 20 years. Oh, let's follow the DFD, let's follow the water flow model, or let's do programming in this way. They don't have that baggage. They come in with this new era. Okay, this is how the new programming has to be done. So I'm looking for that kind of people, and those are the ones I'm trying to build and mix them with my senior team so that the product is launched much faster than what it used to.
I really like what you said about like, you are hiring people who are like, 3 to 5 years out of like having like 3 to 5 years experience. So they're like born in the native like AI era and like using all these like kind of tools. By the way, hi Callie. Some people say hi, Manmeet. I wonder when you were thinking about like, I guess like pricing your own product. So how do you think about like how much do you charge, and then do you charge by like per outcome pricing, or do you charge by um you know uh just like per seat basing?
See, the pricing has evolved. When we started my first startup and I looked at the other ones which I invested in, it used to be SaaS models, per seat models, and everything. Now the pricing is basically outcome based. It's more like buying electricity. If I'm using it, I'm paying for it. If I'm not using it, why should I pay for it? And customers should not pay for it. Don't want dead customers. I want customers who are using my product regularly, because then they can give me feedback and I can improve the product. So pricing has evolved, and we have evolved accordingly with that. Now the pricing which we are charging people is on the usage basis, or the amount of data we provide them, the intel we provide them, and if it's useful for them and how much they use from the data we provide them. They can call using APIs which we provide and put it into their dashboards, or plug it into our competition is our partners. So they take my data and put it into other partners, like Palo Alto's dashboard. They're putting into Zscaler's dashboard. They take my data because those big companies are very good. They solve bigger problems, but they are not solving this niche problem of mobile issue, which is what we are solving. And that's where I joined WMC Global, because I see this company can be scaled to the next level of even bigger than what I sold my last company for.
I wonder, so like when it comes to like, maybe we could talk about the journey of like building the company, right? So like you have sold a company in the past that's like over like $100 million. And then why don't we talk about like walk us backwards on like, how do you think about having a really big exit, and then what kind of problem that you will enter solving, and then how do you think about the approach of solving it like in a very like I guess like both like budget efficient way, but also like being able to um I guess like one is like budget efficiency, and then the other part is like being able to grow fast, because I think like people raise VC money to grow fast, and then but on the other hand, like you don't want to burn too much cash at upfront. So how do you think about like growing a business into that scale, and like how do you think about like where do you spend your money on, and then where do you kind of like
Actually, Grace, this is a very loaded question, and let me answer it in two parts. The first part is you want to raise money because organically growing becomes very difficult in any era. But before you start raising the bigger rounds, they say Series A, Series B, Series C, you have to first figure out a fit in the market, and that's very, very important. And that's what we when I started my first company, it took me, we were more like an engineering oriented company. It took us about 5 years to find our right fit. We diluted the company. We built a lot of engineering problem. But my first customer in that case was American Express. So that was the biggest customer. Once I solved that problem, my product was really great. Everybody else wanted to buy it. But in this company which I come in, this problem has been solved by many, many times, but it has been solved in different ways. They have like a litany of small products. So I'm unifying the products. I am trying to figure out how people are going to react to the unified product. So I'm not going to go raise money. I'm not going to raise a large round right now. But when I see the product is ready, the market fit is there, and the companies are using product and paying me for what they are using for, now I need to scale. That's when I'm going to go raise a bigger round of Series A or Series B, whatever they call it at that point, because that's where I will raise money. Right now, I have good revenue. I have customers. I have a test bed. Actually, this is a changing a startup. This is like building a startup with customers with me. So it's a different experience. My first experience was very different. My investing experience was very different. And this experience is taking an existing company and building it and putting a new wrapper around it, putting a new product in it, making a product-led growth rather than just a services-led growth. So it's a completely different experience. But yes, eh, ultimately it's the culture and the structure of the company, how you take it forward. And money raise is important.
For sure. I have a question on like, so how do you think about, um, I guess like, how do you think about the profit margin? Because at the growth rate that like, when the faster you're growing, the more money you have to dump into like producing the product, hiring more people to sell, blah blah blah. And like, how do you think about the profit margin? So I heard that from the bootstrap companies, like, so you have to have 50% and up to make sure that your business succeed in the end. But like, what about like venture backed business? Like, what is a good profit margin to try to stick to?
See, a services-led company growth profit margin could be anywhere from 25 to 50%, which is not good. A product-led company should have 85 to 90% profit margin. But to get to that 85, 90% profit margin, it's not that you're not burning money or you're not losing money. You may be losing money, but what you are doing, each customer is giving you a margin because you are scaling on a product level. So
Mhm.
the services offered, product once built has to improve over time. So we have to take it to the 80. Otherwise, the exits are not going to be there. If you need an exit of 100 million, 200 million, 500 million, your product has to be such that your margins are way higher, 85, 90%. Sometimes it can go to the A, and that's what I want to take this company to, the profit margin. But yes, that doesn't mean that my company will have a EBITDA in the first 3 years. My company will have a profit margin. If you look at a customer who I'm charging $500,000, I would be probably making 400,000 out of it. But that money would be going back into building the company or the next level of the product or next version of the product. But that's how the profit margins are going to be defined. But if you say the bootstrap startup initially, yes, their profit margins are higher, but they have to invest back in the company. And that's what the fund which I have, Trajectory Alpha, doesn't believe in taking any money out. So I'm putting all the money back into the company.
Um, when I guess like when you're thinking about like as a second time entrepreneur, like what would you do differently than like when you were working on your previous company? Since like you have a pretty good exit and not looking back, like what are something that you feel like you've done right, and what are something that you're doing differently when you're working on WMC right now?
Yeah, it's a journey. I made a lot of mistakes in my first. I hired wrong people. I took a wrong direction sometime. So that experience helps. I cannot say that helps. That helps a lot. But yes, there are going to be new mistakes. They're going to be because the whole environment has changed. The buying environment has changed. The development environment has changed. There are going to be new mistakes and we have to solve those. But yes, the old experience helps you a lot. It helping me as a first time entrepreneur. When I started, I was more aggressive, and when I used to pick up a path, I used to go development, and probably going after, like say, going 10 miles, I used to realize that I made that mistake, that we should not have gone this route, and I used to come back. I would have lost some money over there. Here I don't have to go that far. When I'm making a wrong decision, I probably will go a mile and say no, it's not working, come back much faster and go back and put the pressure on and force behind the right issues and solve them. Human capital is the very important part. That's what I learned. The right people, the people who are not gonna go just prove to be better than you. You can judge people much faster just to see how the output is coming, not just what they are telling you. You have to be very careful on that, and that's very important. Those all these things combined gave me good experience to take this company next forward.
You mentioned about the I guess like the right people, and then like also like I guess like one of the thing is like when you're hiring the people, like where do you find the best? Where were your best recruit coming from? Are they your existing network? Are they so for example, like I guess like our mutual friends, like how do you find like Mahir or like someone that's like talented, and then like how do you would it be from like existing network, or would it be from like school, or would it be from like other company? I guess like is there any place that you feel like you have a better chance to get someone who's really good?
So two things. Existing network obviously is very helpful. Second is in shows like yours, which you create, where people like Mahir and all that are there. So that's where you meet them. That's where you meet the young talent. That's when you can judge and figure out. I never believe, because see, we don't need hundreds and hundreds of people. We are not like Microsoft and Oracle and those large companies. We need only like 30 to 50 people to build a company, or more, maybe somewhere in that. Those have to come handpicked. Those have to be the ones which you find through referrals to people like you who tell us, hey, Manmeet, I think this person is great. Why don't you talk to him? And then figure out, hey, this could be a good solution. So existing network shows like where I go to, where people approach me. Sometimes some people approach me, say, hey, what you are solving, I was doing something similar, but I did not succeed. I started my entrepreneur journey, but I did not succeed. But hey, I built this. I said, hey, let's bring this whole thing in. Let me pay you some stock options for that. And let me bring you in the company, and let's grow and build this whole thing. I have actually done that in past, and I am going to do that now also. There are young people and people who actually went on an entrepreneurship model, and they had pitched to me in the past, and they were building something to do with what we are doing, but they did not succeed. It's not that they did not succeed because they were bad, or the code or the product was bad, what they were building. So we try to take that and incorporate into our product and see how we can take it to the next level.
Very cool. I want to ask Callie, can you hear from my end? I think my internet is very slow. Callie is saying he loves your insight, but I just want to make sure that everybody can hear us, because on my end, I feel like I can. There's like some sort of delay, but I just want to make sure everybody else
I
can
don't
hear.
know about the audience. Is this a chat group where people can say?
Um, I think you can hear me, right?
I can hear you very clearly. No issue.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so I'm so glad. Okay, sorry. I'm just like a little bit conscious about what's going on with my
I know, I know.
internet.
You're trying to be like, I don't want to record it again.
Wait, I have a question on, so maybe we could talk about the product itself. Like, do you want to do a product demo?
No, I don't. I did not prepare for a product demo, but we do have the product which will be launched in January. Maybe we can do a follow up down the line, and I can do a product demo. Bring my CTO, who has been associated with me in my past company and in my current company also, and he has done an amazing job of building the product, and it has come to a very good level right now.
Yeah. So you have worked on the previous company for like over 12 years. Tell us about like, I guess like from that experience, like what were some, I guess like when you were selling to a different company for over 100 million, how do you think about, walk us through the back process of like selling a company? So they have to like, I think like all the companies that are sold are not meant to be sold, like they're bought, right, by a different company. So they have to see a certain type of value. Like how, I guess what value do you feel like you are providing that's like a kind of like unfair advantage to you, for you, that like people will find it's like valuable enough to buy like over $100 million?
So it was a good journey. Actually, let me start from the beginning. For the young founders you have, I think you are a very early stage person on this yourself. So your focus is mostly. We started as three founders. I was the main founder, and there were two others who were doing some coding on just one aspect of my company at that point, and three of us got together. The first one left before even joining the company. He took the stock. The whole stock were distributed. That was a big mistake I made. Stock were distributed in three people. It should not have. I was the only one leading. The second person had a tragedy in the family, and he took a very passive role. So he stayed on the company till exit, but he took a passive role. I was the only one taking the active role and leading the company as a CEO and building the company ground up. So I built the product with my own money initially. At that point, it was like about 100,000 of my own money was a lot of money, and I took a home equity loan and built that money, use that money to build the product. But once I started showing it to the market, I found a couple angels, couple investors who were invested in the company. So my first raise was about 800 to 900,000. At that point, that was a good raise, and then started building. And that investor, early investor, his name was Herb Madden, who stuck with me. And then I got money from Samsung. I got money from Tewa Capital. I got money from all the investors. But initially, at that point, when I started the company, the venture fund was very difficult to get because the market was going through a slow time from 2009 to 12. So I had a litany of about 70 angel investors in my company. I put them under one big, what do you call, LP, one big SPAC, or what do they call it, like a special SPV, special thing. And I put them under that, and I took their money in. after that, the product started selling, the customers started coming in. That's when Samsung came in. That's when Toba came in with the series A or B. I think they put in like a lot of money, and then the company started growing. And with Toba coming in, I actually got access to a very good sales talent. My product was good, and I was the only salesperson at that point. Then I got a very good sales talent. The sales talent which was brought in by my VCs, that was wonderful, and they are actually still connected with me and brought some of the sales talent back in the new company also. So they became, some of them retired, and I have them as managers and all that. But a lot of these people were very helpful. They VCs were very helpful, and once these people came in, my product started scaling. The product started selling. We got the largest of the large customers, and all these credit card companies started using my product. Banks started using my product. They other retail started using the product. All these unions started using, government started using, three little agencies, because they wanted to create honeypots using my mass product so that they can attract the nation state warriors or nation state people who are threats. They wanted to collect that data and see, and they bought my product. So that has taught me on this WMC now.
You mentioned about like the VCs brought in the sales talent. Like, so I guess like were they so I guess like how do they help you to build the team? Do you feel like it was like do you feel like it was helpful? Was it like just like a bunch of recruiting done from their end from like a talent agency, or was it like they were pulling from like a similar startup that's like earlier stage? Or
Actually, the funny thing is, the VC Toba Capital, which put money in me, was run by, at that point, was a new fund, was run by Vinny Smith. Vinny Smith is the one who actually built Quest from ground up and sold it. And he had like he had managed hundreds and hundreds of sales teams, and he had managed hundreds of. So he was, hey, Manmeet, you should. I think he was on my board for a little while, and that's when I said, hey, Vinny, I need some salespeople, and he referred me two or three great salespeople. Once those 2-3 great salespeople came in, they had their own networks, so they brought in rest of the teams, and it started growing. Now I have good connections with most of them, but that was how it was built.
got it. I guess like when it comes to, maybe we could talk about like the like fundraising perspective. You mentioned about like, at the beginning it was like very hard to raise money because of the timing and everything else. Like, what were some strategy that you would advise the founders like today in terms of fundraising? What are some like misconceptions that you feel like people have?
Oh, you have to start running on a shoestring budget. Sometimes people are very happy when they raise like 20 million, 25 million, 50 million. Oh, it's a big round. But the problem is money goes away pretty fast. If you don't have a market fit, you don't have the right product, you can raise as many amount of money. It's just going to burn, and you're not going to be able to solve. You don't have the right people. So you should raise money at the right. See, that's the what do you call, the founder or co-founder's decision has. That's what makes a big difference. And when the money is ample in the market, people just go out and say, oh, let me raise 50 million at 200 million. Okay, you raise 50 million at 200 million valuation when the product is not even found, and somebody gave you that money and the product has not even found a market fit. Who's going to fund you the next round when you run out of this money? Nobody's going to fund you at 300 million or 500, and you're going to have a down round. Once you have a down round, whole morale and everything goes away. So you have to grow slowly, strategically, in a small path. Like, okay, let's incremental. And some stage when the product is selling like crazy, that's when you raise money at higher valuations. You should try to be shoestring budget, try to keep yourself in the limits. Don't do those big parties. Don't go out and do those big hiring sponsorships and all that. All these things don't bring value. Certain sponsorships are okay, but not all of them. That's again comes back to the founders' acumens or co-founders' acumens who tell, okay, it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you get people who are like, and when you hire people from large corporations in your small company, they'll come in, they'll think like IBM and Microsoft. They will tell you to spend, oh, let's spend 50,000 at Gartner, or let's 90,000 in this show. They know you're too early for that. So that's where you have to be very careful.
When you are thinking about like, I guess like spending money on certain things, so like where would you spend the money? Is that on sales? Since you mentioned like you already start with like the product market fit. After product market fit, you find the VCs to fund your growth. And when, I guess like after you get the money, like where would you spend the money? Is that like on just hiring more sales talent, like you mentioned, like the VCs help you find a bunch of salespeople, but or like how much do you spend on the product? And then as a CEO, like how how much time do you spend on the product? How much time do you spend on like selling and stuff, or like also fundraising as well?
Yeah. See, if your product has to grow with the salespeople, you are not in the right market. Today, if your product and salespeople are kind of matched, you're like, if you are saying I need 10 salespeople to bring 10 million growth, that doesn't work. Your product has to be the one which brings the growth. Salespeople are just going to be take your, probably salespeople should start coming after 5-6 million revenue. That's what I say. First 5-6 million should, for 4-5 million should come in through the founders, should come in from the product led growth, should come in from how the product is, how it's perceived in the market. Salespeople are just your messengers. This today the product doesn't sell like on an ERP way. It used to sell like Oracle old days, yesteryear ways where salesman used to make relationship, take them for golf games. So no, today people don't have that much time. People want, if your product works, it sells on its own. Salespeople are just the carrier, the messengers, the postman who take your letter out there and say, okay, this product works, guys, try it. It'll solve your problem. And they are the ones who do that part. If a salesman is still doing what they were doing in yesteryears, bringing in teams, showing them, then your product is not going to succeed. Your product has to have a product. So your focus has to be on the engineering. Your focus has to be on the right product. Your focus has to be how it integrates with the existing market. That's where the focus has to be. Salespeople now, earlier probably it was 50-50, but I would say now it should be no more than 20% expense on the sales, because the rest should be all on the product and maybe marketing, some smart marketing and some smart way of getting to the right people.
I guess like if you are doing your company again, like what would one thing that you would do differently from last time?
You see, a lot has changed. If I am doing the similar company again today, I would not hire that many technology people. If I have to say, we went 3-4 different paths, but what sold was one. So how you discover, how you protect, so people were more interested in that. It took me like 3 to 4 years just to get to that simple message of help you discover it, protect it, and remediate it. And that was message took me 3 years to come, and products built in that category took me 3 years. But now I understand that, and that should be much faster. So I could shave off, if I have to do the same company again in that same era, I could still shave off about 3 to 5 years and probably be successful in 5 to 6 years.
Deepak is asking, share your strategy to be visible when you're bootstrapped, when no one knows your product, how to be visible.
See, it's a very good question, but the problem is in a product-led growth, you don't need 500 customers to see your product and visibility. You need first 5 to 10 customers, and for that first 5 to 10 customers, the founders and co-founders are enough. They have to go to the market. They have to talk to those banks. They have to solve. Once it's solved, yes, you need what he's saying is true. You have to do the marketing. You have to do the sales. You have to get in front of the people. You have to get in front of the partners. But that's where the market fit has happened. You have found your product fit. You think now you can scale. Then yes, visibility is very important. But for first early 5-10, if you get visibility too fast and you don't even have the product, how are you going to satisfy your customers? You can talk, but it's not going to solve the problem.
I want to be mindful of the time. Maybe we wrap with a fire round. What's your favorite book?
My favorite books have been around business oriented. I generally more newspaper oriented person. I used to read Economic Times pretty regularly, see the bigger market, how it's moving. But philosophical books have been my focus.
Who made the biggest impact in your career?
See, that's I would say I went into the entrepreneurship zone because when my kid was born, the whole thing was hurt. My wife was sick, and I had to quit my job and stay home for a year. That's when I realized that doing a job would not solve the problem for me. I have to jump into entrepreneurship too. And then I started something which was completely unrelated, and that company is still going. It was a mortgage and a real estate company, and it's still going. That's when I started, because that gave me enough time to take care of the family, and I ran that for 5 years. It's after that I came back into technology and started Dataguise.
Wow. Who would you so I guess like where can we find you outside of work?
technical shows. I am in the Niles area, Fremont. My place is here. I'm here every day. I hang out in the coffee shops. There is a good bar here and good lunch and dinner shops. Skillets. We have Niles is a very popular area. Used to be Hollywood, as I told you. You grew up here, Grace. This used to be Hollywood before Hollywood. All Charlie Chaplin movies were shot here. So this is a very nice area. I hang out here. And the other thing is my volunteer thing, the 5-6 Seva. I sometimes go serve food to the homeless and the needy, and those are the 2 or 3 places which I hang out with my kids.
Love that. Well, Manmeet, thank you so much for coming to the show today. It was such a fun conversation. And sorry, my internet's like such a in such a bad place today because I'm like 5 minutes behind everybody for some reason.
Well, I hope the view looks good and people see it. Really appreciate you calling me. Thank you very much. And thanks to Mahir for introducing me to you. He was very good find for me. He has been helpful. Great guy. Now he works for HubSpot and he got me a good deal as a startup in HubSpot.
For sure. You have trained very amazing, friend and employee. And like, I feel like it's such a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And let me quickly end stream. Sorry, I feel like it's